Good evening, everybody. We are here Wednesday, November 5th for the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee meeting for the Sanborn Regional School District. I would like to call us to order. It is now 5:02, and let's begin with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all.
Make a motion, sorry.
Please.
Make a motion to approve minutes?
You read my mind.
Yeah.
For how long? Kidding. Duty.
No,
I'm just kidding.
yeah, sorry, good.
Second?
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. New business, financial remarks. We'll turn this over to you, Marie.
Okay. So the inflation rate as of September is 3.1. Actually, let's see how much it changed from the prior month.
Marie, what are you doing to control that?
It went down, so
Good job.
3.3 to 3.1. The encumbrances, again, nothing unusual besides the beginning of the year purchases. The operating cash in both accounts is just over 5 million. And the trust fund balances are actually the same through September 30th. I haven't received any of the October statements yet.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to go through those individually like we did, but we had already done that prior meeting.
Sure. So no changes from
No
last month.
changes. Correct.
Gentlemen, do you want to get a refreshment from last month, or are you good to move?
I'm all set.
Good. Okay. I think we're good. Thank you, Marie.
And then we just have 3 budget adjustments that need approval.
Opening those up.
You can go one at a time.
Sure. So number 34 is the first one.
Okay.
To move money to cover deficits for other professional services and to cover tuition and transportation lines. That was 236,243.81.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Are we going to approve them all in
You
the
want to
end?
do it all at once? Or individually?
That's fine. We can do them all at once, if you guys are good with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. 34. 235.
5 is, and move money from tuition lines to cover costs of a paraeducator at the charter school in Monmouth, New Hampshire for OT services at the middle school, waiting to be placed in out of district. And that's 38,760.
Okay, Marie, just so they're being moved from where to where?
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
tuition, out of tuition and into other professional services for a contractor.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And 36. This is, this was miscellaneous expense that was budgeted under school board for this fiscal year, but should not have been budgeted under that line item. It should have actually been put into the curriculum budget, which is the 1118. So I'm just correcting the budget lines that they were budgeted in the wrong spot. So just moving from one to another.
Entry error.
Mhm.
Okay.
From last year's budget development,
So from 10/23/10,
which is school board miscellaneous expense, into curriculum. All of those things were budgeted under miscellaneous school board expense for some odd reason, not quite sure why.
and these descriptions were there with that's how it was budgeted in the, okay.
Well, it was budgeted all under school board, but it was clearly for curriculum supplies,
Oh, okay, yeah.
assessment and curriculum, things like that.
Yep.
And that's for 135,000. And you'll see in this presentation for the budget for next year, you'll see a decrease in the school board, and it's all being budgeted in the correct line for next year.
Sure.
And that was 135,000. And that was the last budget adjustment.
Well, thanks for catching that.
Mhm.
Right. All right. Do I have a motion there?
So I'll make a motion to approve the budget adjustments, number 34, number 35, and number 36 as described.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is the Siemens presentation on rooftop units at the high school. So before we go into that, gentlemen, do you have that in your emails?
Getting there.
I should have.
Oh, thank you. I would love that.
As well.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I should have linked it too, and I didn't.
No, that's okay. I saw, let's see,
When did it come out?
Monday,
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you want
sent it.
I had a one going on.
Monday?
Monday, 5:08
Good. Rick, do you need one?
from Marie.
Rick, can you do this?
Yeah,
Take it.
sure.
Let's keep passing the.
You killed the trees over.
We're already done. Might as well use it.
You did print double-sided, so that's a plus.
It's energy efficient.
That's right.
Yeah, I got you.
Less than 4 pages.
So before they jump into the presentation, Dan, could, for the sake of the public and anybody watching, would you please give the cursory comment as to what we're talking about here and why?
Yes, so
Thank you.
we have a total of, was it 15 rooftop units at the high school that are 21 years old. They are at their lifespan or beyond their lifespan at this point now. We are putting large amounts of money into it, so we're investigating right now to find out, is it worth changing these rooftops now or delaying it possibly a year, but these rooftops have to happen sometime in the near future. So we're just kind of looking at what the project cost is going to be right now and how we're going to secure these funds.
Okay. And you said that we are pouring money into our current rooftop units that are 20 plus years old.
Correct.
Do you have an idea annually, let's just say in the past 12 months? what we have put
Last
out
3
there?
months, we've dumped about 35,000 into them.
Okay.
I
In the
don't
last how
have
many months?
3 months.
3 months. Okay.
I don't have an annual cost, but as these units are getting older, obviously, we're putting more money into them to keep them going.
Okay.
And that's just for the mechanicals and everything within them. The boxes around them themselves are starting to show a little bit of rust and everything too. So,
Just for the public's awareness, when we say rooftop unit, that does what?
heat and some air conditioning.
Air handlers,
Ventilation.
ventilation,
Yeah.
Yeah, call it.
air handlers, ventilation, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I think, I know you said you don't have an annualized expense for these things, but I think we're gonna need that.
Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I know it's extra work, but
And I'll try and go back a couple years if I
Why don't we
can,
do
just to
that?
see where they're at.
I think just so we have the information. Thanks, Dan.
I think too, not to jump in, but that helps with our savings as well when you're calculating return on
Operational
investment always, right? Like
Yeah.
the operational savings in addition to the energy savings. Probably not going to carry the project like our first phase did, but it is obviously very helpful.
Yeah. I mean, if I hear it's $35,000 a year to keep them running and $1 million to replace them, I'm gonna just tell you to keep spending $35,000.
Yeah.
right.
Right, so like,
Yeah.
I think we need to justify, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is that good?
Is that the introduction you want?
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
Yep.
Further questions we'll ask as we go or afterwards. So,
Yeah, interrupt us. Let's have a conversation. We don't need to talk at you.
And maybe we're here because, we did a first phase recently, or we're entering into that. And as part of that development, there's an avenue to add more work orders to the contract base. So Dan reached out to us. This is something that we've discussed, a capital plan for every one of your schools. The first phase did just focus on purely energy reductions, but there are aging equipment in all of your buildings. So he called us about a month ago when you had some damage to your roof, which kind of really spurred this on. The gym roof is damaged, part that you're gonna get replaced, I think now, right?
Well, hopefully within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is no rooftop equipment on that particular roof, but I believe you told me that your roofer suggested in the next year or two, you should start thinking about replacing the roof in other areas of the high
Yes,
school.
the existing roof over the other part of the building is starting to lift and separate, so we need to obviously invest in a full rooftop in the next couple of years. typically what we want to do is we want to replace these air handling units, these RTUs on the roof before we do the new roof, because we don't want to damage the new roof as we're taking the old ones off and putting the new ones on. So we're kind of at that point where we need to do a roof and these RTUs on the roof. So, you know, I don't want to put the cart before the horse. So if we're going to do this, and I truly think that if we put some TLC and a little bit of money into the roof, we can probably extend the roof life probably about 2 years. And that's my hopes at this point, which means that if we do these rooftop units, that we would probably look at doing it either this coming summer or the following summer. That way we're keeping up with the roof project at that point.
Okay. So as Dan said, that kind of put the schedule framework out there for us. It's focusing on rooftop replacements before the roof in the next 2 years. So where I'm at right now is slide 3, but we did kind of skip over the agenda. This presentation will include a couple options for you for rooftop replacements, and then I'm going to go over all the things I considered when budgeting this project. So that was what the agenda stated, but on slide 3, I did include a life expectancy chart. You can look this up easily on Google. ASHRAE is an organization that sets standards or guidelines for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. And I just highlighted some of the common equipment that you have up on your roof and what it states as your typical life expectancy, 15 to 20 years. So you are at that limit or at that threshold, and depending on your maintenance practices, you can go beyond that, as Dan is saying, but typically you're wanting to plan ahead of that. So that's where we're at. I think we're in we're not in we're in a semi-reactionary situation, but you're still got some time, some runway, if you will. So now that we've established, why we're here today, I'm gonna go into the first of 2 options. So Dan had asked me, well, what would be the option to just replace in kind or like for like? Currently, your school has 15 rooftop units. There are different types of rooftop units. So just because they live on the roof, they're usually called rooftop. But there's some that have something called recovery in them. So it helps preheat the air. There's some that just do heating and ventilation, and there's some that do heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So you do have a variety of types. The ones I've highlighted in yellow are the ones that have air conditioning now. So when we talk about like for like, we're talking about keeping the spaces that have air conditioning now air conditioned, and the spaces that do not have it, we would not have air conditioning in. So that's kind of the stage of what type of equipment you have out there. Now I've put a few points across that I wanted to make sure we discuss today. Some good news is that LED project that you have rolling does allow us to downsize air conditioning, because light fixtures emit heat and LEDs emit a lot less heat than incandescent bulbs. So when you're in that summer period, you can actually downsize the equipment. So you can see here I've notated, your tons, which is how much cooling that unit has, is being downsized. So we're able to change the design a little bit. And that's good, because the larger the piece of equipment, the more expensive it is. So that project is helping kind of keep this project cost a little bit down. The next points I wanted to make is that there's not true like for like replacements anymore, because codes have changed over the last 20 years. So the codes that I'm talking about are energy conservation codes, fire protection codes, mechanical codes, and they've changed to help facility operators operate more efficiently. So there are things for maintenance that are a lot easier and diagnosis, but there's also energy efficiency features that weren't available back then. So I've listed a few of them, something called fault detection that helps with diagnosis. So when you roll a truck, you're not here as long, or maybe you can find out remotely what's going on before you roll a truck. We've got variable speed fans, compressors, energy recovery wheels, heat pump technology, airflow monitoring, so you can tighter control. phase failure protection, condensate overflow switches, et cetera. Those are kind of some safety stuff that has popped up. And then finally, you know, all of these units that we're talking about would be integrated into your existing control system. So they come with BACnet compatibility is what they're all, your controls here will speak the same language as the new units. So those are kind of the highlights. I'll stop there. Is there any questions about what a like for like option is? No.
No,
I'm all set.
Good.
I have just a quick,
Yeah.
am I correct in this, and this isn't something that maybe you have the answer to this, Dan? The ones with the air conditioning units, the ones that do air conditioning, that is not a mistake.
No,
Where
that's
they're placed, right? There is an obvious logic to this.
Yes, as far as placement on the roof.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
These are the places where you would want this.
auditorium,
Yeah,
library,
auditorium, gym,
admin and nurse.
computers, things you want to keep full.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that assessment of where they are?
This is typical. People usually do the larger spaces or like the admin section of the building, not normally the kids.
Yeah, well, they need to deal with the heat.
Yeah, usually it's the adults.
Character building and
Yeah.
Just as kind of
The
a,
adults in public spaces get air conditioned first.
Right.
But
just
also
as
the computers.
Yeah.
kind of a sideline, when they built this building, the gymnasiums weren't air conditioned. And they quickly realized within the first couple of months that, why didn't we put air conditioning in the gym where the kids are sweating and running around and everything?
Right.
So what they did is they put a separate unit up on the roof that is literally sitting on wood on the roof that pumps air into the existing
Sounds good.
heating and ventilating.
Pressure
unit.
treated.
Kind of like a bowl.
It's pressure treated,
Okay.
but
At least
it's
there's
sitting
that.
on wood.
Okay, let's.
At least
So,
there's that.
I mean, it's not on a curbing or anything like that,
Well,
okay?
cool.
So if we were to, move forward with this, our thought is we could replace that air conditioned unit or remove it completely and buy a unit that's integrated with air
Yeah,
conditioning
packaged all
and
together.
heating. So we're actually
This is not
taking a unit
And
off the
post
roof.
construction you have here.
How old is that
Yeah, the
unit?
GX added.
It's the same age, like
It-
roughly the same age?
6 months
Okay,
newer than,
Right.
than the existing stuff that's up there now.
So the
So-
like for like is in as much as it can be.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, so like for like, we'll still need, there's something called curb adapters, so the pieces of equipment aren't exactly the
Yeah.
same as
Right.
what's up there, and they might weigh a little bit differently. So what I've had to do, and I'm gonna cover this a little bit, is that because we're at the budget phase where I don't know, because we have to do more investigation, is I'm giving allowance for adding some structural steel if needed. So these budgets have a range because we don't know where we're gonna fall once we actually engineer and do the structural assessment. So, the ones with air conditioning, you could say, are gonna be roughly the same, weight, but the next option, when we're talking about putting air conditioning where there is not, those units will now be heavier than the ones that are up there. So that is probably gonna come into play more likely, in the final solution.
So given that comment, wouldn't the like for like replacement, wouldn't these actually be lighter, given they are smaller units due to the savings on air conditioning?
So, sorry to cause any confusion.
yeah, I think,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead. I'm saying,
I was gonna say, I think what I heard is where there's air conditioning now.
Yep.
Like for like, wouldn't require, it could, I think Dan explained this last week, like, sort of like a Lego piece, like
Yeah.
it's gotta fit the right way.
Yeah.
But for the second scenario, where
Yeah.
they're going to present air conditioning.
Yep.
They may need structural steel
I get that.
because of additional weight.
Yep.
Okay.
Not my question.
so
Yeah.
he
I'm
whispered,
glad I could help.
he whispered, so you.
We'll edit that out later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You're
if
talking
you,
about the air conditioning tonnage is lower.
right,
So tons in refrigerant isn't 2,000 pounds in weight.
I get that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Got
So when you go to, and maybe I'm oversimplifying here, when you go to Walmart and you buy a window air conditioning unit,
Mhm.
a 7,000 BTU is lighter than a 12,000
Yes.
BTU, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's gotta be some
There's gotta be some.
relation,
Yeah.
right? Or am I just totally off?
You know, I don't know the dash dimensions, but I wanted you to be aware that they're not gonna be exactly.
Totally get
exactly the same. That was more my point.
Okay.
Not the precision of the point, I guess.
Sure.
No, but you're right, though. If we put in a
In
new
theory,
unit,
in theory.
In theory,
well, it could be the thing that it's the same size, it's just more efficient.
Right, could
Or
be.
it could be smaller and way less.
yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're
Or we could
adding
have an
additional
energy
curbing,
recovery
though,
wheel
it could,
now
Got
But
it.
if you're
could
Okay.
offset that
that we
weight
didn't have
loss. So.
before.
Okay,
You know,
All right.
there's gonna
Okay.
be a lot of components.
We're getting too far in the weeds. then.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay.
And I did even include model numbers, but like, we're at the budget phase. This
Sure.
is, if we were to move forward, we would be shopping around, but to
Yeah.
get you a number, I had to pick something.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to slide 5, which is option 2. So this is an air conditioning ad. So you will see where there is no air conditioning, I've now put some tonnage there. Again, this would
Which
be
has nothing to do with the weight of the unit.
nothing to do with the way they
Yeah.
are.
I think it does, but okay. Just throwing it out there.
My first points from the other side of the other option are still the same, you know. Thankfully, that LED project does allow us to not have to buy as large of units as you would have had to if you didn't do the lighting project. Then,
Well, let me ask you this too, just as a side, if we're replacing the roof and we're going with a white vinyl roof too,
Mhm.
that helps also in the air conditioning, doesn't it?
Heating, sure.
yeah, the load of the
It's
building,
large, which has
So
nothing to
in
do with
the, you
dimensions.
you mean the attraction of the light?
The white.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
reflecting that heat back
Right.
into the atmosphere, so I mean,
But does the reflection of the heat add any weight?
good. It does have mass.
Very
You get
complicated.
sucked into a black hole, so it has mass. So,
okay.
sorry.
We're back on track.
We're gonna put a roof
I'm
that-
bringing
Focus,
it up, I'm
focus.
bringing it
We're gonna put a
up.
roof
I'm
that's so
trying to
dense
make
that
jokes
it's
because
gonna
I jumped
bend
ahead
light
to
around
slide
it.
7.
Yeah.
Never- Light can't escape.
Okay, so, as I said, the units in yellow have air conditioning now. Every other one of these we'd be adding it to. So just to go down in order, RTUs 1 through 5 have air conditioning, replaced with ones with air conditioning, but smaller. The next
What do you mean by
5,
small? Just kidding.
yeah, the next 5 units are called HRUs, that is heat recovery unit. That's the type of unit you have now. We're going to add, see in parentheses, DX. DX is a air conditioning, components inside that unit. So it doesn't have that now, it would have that now, it would have that after. Though those components would dehumidify the air. They would be like a first stage of cooling. It would dry the air out. And then, so in the space, you'd have nice neutral air. But if you wanted to cool the space, the most efficient way to do that is to actually add a separate system, a VRF system, which would be all electric, and they'd be ground mounted. That is, from my deduction of this project, that would be my recommendation, is not to add all the air conditioning into the rooftop unit, but to do 2 systems, replace the heat recovery unit with something that will provide neutral air to take you down close where you need to go, and then use your electric system to bring you all the way down. In addition to that, the VRF system would allow you to heat the space, so you wouldn't necessarily have to turn on your boilers as soon in the fall. You could use this VRF system in the classrooms for more of the shoulder season and take some of that load off the boilers. So that's what I envision for the classroom section of this building. Yeah.
So, can you pull the last 5 year, hopefully you have it, the last 5 years of the fuel costs
Oh, yeah, we have that
for
already.
this school?
Yep.
Yeah.
For
And,
oil, you're talking just oil and energy?
and repair and maintenance to the boilers.
Okay.
I would also just add, from like more of a, not super technical side, if you're familiar with heat pumps that you put in your house, that's the same kind of technology as VRF, also for people that are in the community listening in.
Yeah, VRF is the difference is that one classroom could be calling for cooling and the classroom across the hall be called for heating, and it can do both.
It's a variable.
Refrigerant flow.
Yeah.
So it can do both at the same time simultaneously. And that's nice when you have like north facing and south facing, south facing gets a lot hotter.
It's exactly the problem we have here now, because when you go in the middle school wing, the side facing 111 is just torturous there in the summertime with heat, and then the backside is not. And the backside are the ones that we air condition now because it's cheaper to air condition.
Can we just swap the air from the rooms?
Sure, we'll put a big old barn
Couple of
fan in
fans
there
and
and
just
yeah.
blow them at each other?
Yeah, exactly. So,
All right.
Can we get
Okay. So that is the classrooms would be heat recovery with dehumidification on the rooftop units, and then a separate cooling system. And then I'm gonna move down to what you have now, heating and ventilating units in the gym, cafeteria, mini gym, wood shop, auto and welding. Those units can cool those spaces by adding air conditioning straight into that unit. That is an appropriate swap from what you have now to add air conditioning is to put a unit of DX in it, and it would cover the cooling there. So that is the technical side of the solution, options 1 and 2.
Right. And if we choose to do this, obviously, we don't have to air condition the whole building. I mean, I would suggest definitely air conditioning the cafeteria because it's constantly hot. The kids are sweating their behinds off in there during the school season, and also probably the mini gym since they do use that. But during the summer, you know, the wood shop's not being used. The auto shops are not being used. You know, it's just my guys in there cleaning them. It's hot, it's uncomfortable, but there's some square footage in this building that isn't used at all during the summer. So, you know, that's the other option too, is pick and choose where we want to add air conditioning.
When I look at the model numbers that you have listed here, like for example, in option 1, you have HRU-1 classroom F. The new model number of the unit is the same in both options, even though, am I missing something on this?
Yeah, so sometimes the number is way bigger than that too. It would have
Oh, it
like,
just goes on.
yeah,
So the
yeah.
DX is captured somewhere else.
Yeah, like it'll
Under
tell you
model.
the tonnage like in the number.
So it's still the
down
same
line.
unit, but there's a modification to that
Yes,
model.
yes,
It's like
you can
a
add it
add-on.
with DX or without. It's
Okay.
like a
I
bolt-on option, yeah.
Okay.
Good question. Okay, so slide 6 is before we get into the actual price, I wanna make sure you understand what's included. So we've talked a lot about what equipment we've selected. That's only one component of cost. So here are some of the things here are the things that are included. Engineering. This is a design change you have going from non-air conditioning to air conditioning. So we have different engineering fees depending on which option you pick, obviously, but you still have to generate drawings no matter what option you pick. That's how contractors bid on work. You have to put a roadmap of what you want to do. So this includes the design and the drawings for mechanical, electrical, and structural. And then that would be, they would assist in the bid process, provide final as-built drawings and construction support. So during construction, they're available to take part. Turnkey installation. So that means that everything's included for labor, material, and I've listed some of those materials like steel. We would need to insulate some of your ductwork because when you add air conditioning, it can condense and sweat in the spaces. This also includes rigging. So we will have to bring a crane on site and lift all this equipment. We would start up and warranty this equipment as well. Controls. Even though you have controls here, we're going to be literally unplugging them and would have to plug in new equipment. And this new equipment will have new features. So there will be more points to add to your system and we'll have to tie all that back together. Energy. I've considered as energy efficiency and operational efficiency in these two options. So we've selected this equipment for budgeting purposes, but if we go forward, we will look deeper and make sure that we select the exact equipment. So that's our drive. And then of course, as you know from our other projects, we do project manage this throughout and would provide a guarantee if you want. You don't have to guarantee a project, especially with equipment replacement, a lot of people don't. If you add air conditioning, your utility bills on the electric side will go up. So because you're not air conditioning now. So that's something we'll have to consider if a guarantee makes sense for you, but if I have included it if you need it. And then lastly, we always go after, incentives or any additional funding sources that we can provide or that are out there. So for today, I've at least contacted New Hampshire Saves and talked to them about their equipment incentives. So that is on the next page. I'll show you what those are. Okay, so all of that to get to this.
I was already there.
Okay, good. So I said up front that this is a swing. There's a cost variation that can happen because we're at a budget phase and I'm not sure. So I have strong numbers for engineering costs and equipment costs. And I've used a project that Siemens has done on rooftop replacements for the labor material, the turnkey install. So, that project is not obviously your project. So I did my best, and that's why I give you a range. So I landed, in option 1 at 9 million and option 2 at 12.5. And then I'm giving this like a 15% swing. So that's what we're optimistic that 7.65 will do it, but, be conservative, I would say 9. And then you never know what could happen. So, we will uncover as much as possible. That's what we do. We're a risk-averse company. So I'm hoping it won't be near the 10.35 in that option, but I have to at least say it's possible. And then, on incentives, you'll see they're relatively low compared to your costs, right? 50.
That's 6,000 really.
Yeah, $6,000, 5. So for direct replacements like this is what they're incentivizing these days. I can go after custom incentives when it comes to controls. So once we dig in, if I find that, there's an energy strategy out there that's not being implemented or has fallen away, maybe it was implemented when you started the building, but somebody's turned it off, I can then go and get energy savings and try to get some incentives for that. But I won't know until we get down the road. So I didn't want to, it's not a big highlight, but it's at least something. So that's
a lot.
More
You're thinking we
information.
might want to discuss things at this point? Is that why you paused?
Yeah, it's a big, I know,
It's a
it's a big number. It's not gonna ever go down. I would feel strongly about saying that because construction costs where we live in, things don't ever go down. So that's what we feel like it would be to get it done this summer. And the next slide is really talking to you about working within the constraints that you have as a district to get warrant articles or financing this March. We want to make sure that we are in lockstep with that process. So if you want to talk about schedule or things like that's what I was planning on, but we could move it to,
Sure. So I think what we talked about last week, or last meeting rather, Dan, was that obviously for big projects like this, we do three estimates, right? And so we have one here from Siemens with these numbers. Do we have 2 coming?
Well, keep in mind that Siemens does that for us because what they do is they put a bid out for other contractors to bid on that.
Gotcha.
So that would cover us as far as our 3 bids. They act as the general contractor and then we seek other bids from other companies that do that.
go ahead, go.
So right now, like Colleen said, it's budgetary. So if you were to go to any other of our competitors or whoever and say, can you give us a like for like comparatively to what Siemens, they would probably come in very closely because they don't have drawings to bid off of. So the stage we're at right now is we really need to probably engage with an engineer and have them begin the design bid process or the design drawing process so that we can give them something to go off of when they're bidding out. I mean, the number that we have might be really conservative, really high. And, we will show you the bids that we get and, that hopefully they're like for like, but it's gotta be a competitive process.
Got it.
Yeah, we'll make
Okay. And then secondly, I think before we would move forward with any further discussion, Dan, the questions would be to Rick and I's earlier comment about annual costs for maintenance, operation,
Absolutely.
fuel, et cetera, et cetera.
But I
Yeah.
would want to know too, how long, whatever we're paying annually to keep these things up, how long is that sustainable for you can't know the future really, right?
Yeah,
right.
But like, let's say we all know vehicles, right? You know that there's a point at which you really got to stop pouring money into this thing because it's just going to
Right,
get ridiculous.
exactly.
Right?
And that's what we need to figure out.
So that's what we need to figure out. How much are we putting into it and how close to true end of life do you think we are based on the actual assessments of the units?
Right. I think we're there at end of life. It's just, we can absolutely keep putting money into these units and keep them going, indefinitely until these manufacturers stop making parts to replace these
Okay,
units.
so
And
this is
that's
like
what
a
we're
ship
up
of
against.
Theseus situation where you keep on replacing a board and eventually you got a new ship.
Yeah.
Right?
I think also, I don't know, because the roof timeline seems almost, like, what are the ramifications for replacing rooftop units after you put a new roof on? Like, is that?
It can be done. It obviously can be done. It's just,
They gotta be more careful.
They have to be
The
more careful,
warranty
and
on
we would
the
have-
roof would be affected maybe?
doesn't
or-
affect the warranties
No?
on the roof at all.
No, I mean,
It would be one of those things though, that if we put the roof on, and then they come back and we do these rooftop units, we may have to call the roofer back to do some work around those
Like you wanna-
units for
You
the
wanna put your
curbing
floor,
that we'd
you
have.
wanna put your floors down before you put your baseboard down. You can do it
Yeah.
the opposite.
Yeah, you
You're
can
gonna have
put
to
your
take
floor down before you put
baseboard
your
off
kitchen cabinets
carefully.
down, basically, you know?
You're
and
gonna
then-
have to take it off careful.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this first time seeing these numbers, was a couple days ago. I didn't understand some of the arrows. Now I understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
So obviously, these are massive numbers, right? And as we look at our budget, we look at what's about to happen in that room in about the next, 22 minutes about what we're gonna
They're hitting you
review.
mhm.
I have great trepidation when I see numbers like this, whether it's from you or anybody else.
Sure.
And
sure.
so I think those numbers are gonna be really important. And that discussion out there is gonna be really important. And I'm interested to see where these things will come together, because that's a massive number given our annual budget and taxpayer sentiment. So that's
and
just
this
my
is,
honest
this
assessment.
is the only building that could fit all the students in it.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Here's a crazy question. There's 15 of them?
Mhm.
I'm sure, because you're all smarter than I am, that you've thought of this and think it's a bad idea. But does it make sense to replace them a little bit at a time? Like do
Sure,
one
you can do it in phases. There's no
and do
problem with
another one
that.
next year? Like do one per year or one per 2 years?
You can absolutely do that. As far as being cost effective, it might not be the best, because now you're renting a crane and.
You gotta
doing
rent the
all
crane
this.
15 times.
You gotta
You gotta
Yeah,
rent
condition it
yeah,
15 times.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta do all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
so.
or clusters, maybe. You're like, maybe is there a sweet spot?
And that
where-
is absolutely a way we could attack this, we
Yeah.
could say, we're gonna do, the G wing one year, we're gonna do the F wing another year.
Yeah.
Or in the common areas the following year, or start on the areas that in spaces we wanna use, if we wanna add air
Right.
conditioning to get this place workable in the summer for summer programs and projects in school.
Mhm.
Because that's our biggest issue in the summertime, is this building is just miserably hot, even for our summer programs. And that's one of the reasons why we moved them down to Memorial this year, is because the splits are down there and it air conditions that building. Well, we're looking at split issues now down at Memorial, so we're kind of chasing our tails at this point, so.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, it may,
When I thought of that question,
I know you would have.
yeah. My hesitancy to do it was more if you are going down the warrant article route for this, would you want to do 3 warrant articles or would you want to do 1? Like, is that process rigorous or is it a process you don't mind doing 3 times?
See, with
So
our
that-
community here, my opinion is, as much as the dollar amount is high, you go in once for the attack and get the money if you can. Because I don't think this community would put up with a warrant article every year for millions of dollars,
Yeah, I
5 million
suppose-
this year, 5 million that year, 5 million in that year.
I suppose it's how it's approached. I don't know the legalities that well of how you have to do it, but look at it like when we do a teacher contract, it defines money across, say, 3 years. You approve it once, but you're committing to this, right? So it could be the case that it's 1 warrant article, but it happens over 15 years.
Well, no one's gonna hold pricing for 3 years.
What's that?
No one will
Yeah,
hold pricing for 3 years. It
So
could
it's over 3
climb.
years.
Yeah.
So you could build that in,
Yeah.
you could make some assumption of what the
Oh, and remember,
escalation would be.
But if you clustered it into 3 groups of units and said,
Well,
we're
and
gonna do
keep
one
in
year,
mind-
another 5, another 5. Yeah.
These RTUs is one of the 3 major problems we have here. The other major problem is the roof on the existing building. You're looking at
Right.
$1.5 million there.
Right.
Then you're
Which
looking
seems
at
like
the
some change
siding.
now.
Well, and then you're looking at the siding on this building.
Right.
You're talking probably 2 or
And the
3 million
boiler
there.
plant,
Right, so do you go?
In the boiler plant, that is somewhat aged,
We had a
so
hard time finding sections. Did you have to drive to,
we had to drive to Brooklyn to get
To
a
get
section
one.
for a boiler. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm on my town's, we call it School Board Advisory Committee, and yesterday we just passed a very big $140 million bond.
Congratulations.
Thank you, it's fabulous for those that are paying taxes. But all kidding aside, there are 5 schools that are getting addressed, and they elected to go for a lump sum, but it took 2 times. And I think the point that we're also kind of focusing on is even if it does take 2 times, we're not gonna leave you, right? Like, I think regardless of if it's this time around or next year, you do need to start getting engineering going. And if we're looking at timeline, like the drawings are not gonna expire. Like, if I printed off your school board calendar as well. Yeah, and I starred where we're at today.
I already have one.
She started though. if you
Yeah,
want for
it's
reference.
indicated.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I start where we're at. If we start engineering tomorrow, they need 60 to 90 days to put drawings together. We've already asked them to expedite it to 60 days. But, logistically speaking, if we're looking at January, I had in here as January 14th when you would need numbers firm numbers for the warrant article vote. Colleen told me it's actually January 8th. Like,
We were looking at your budget committee calendar and we were trying to figure out when you need your warrant article number by, is it the 8th?
I think it's about that date.
Yeah.
So,
We're
right,
just under a tight. So I know you want to discuss it. I know I hear you that you want to bring it up. I'm just saying we only have 60 days if you want to do a warrant article this year.
right. So, right.
Yeah.
And I think too, we can engage the engineer ASAP. It would be the same one that did the first phase of this. He already has a pretty good understanding of what we're
He's walked all the
expecting.
buildings.
He's walked everything. Colleen's been very communicative. I think we would just need like a nod of the head and, we kind of get going. And we would need a signed letter of intent, no different than before, but again, it's timeline. And two, the engineering fees, I think I quoted 105, and that was including the air conditioning. But that's not coming out of your budget right now. That's same like phase 1. If you go ahead with it, it just gets built into the project or the warrant article or whatever. You're not paying that engineering fee up front, which also is different than, you already have the agreement with us. It's at risk on our end, not on yours. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Just putting in perspective, like, if we want to go after this year,
Or even a part of it.
what does that mean?
You
What
know-
does that look like?
Right.
It looks like 60 days.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do the math on a lot of things. Yeah,
What do you think, Rick? I can tell here.
what's on your mind, Rick?
You've been very quiet.
Yeah, I don't,
Which is atypical, so we're all worried.
yeah, well, first of all, I got shushed by Jeremiah. So my feelings are still hurt. I don't think we're gonna have any go, no-go tonight, right? Because first of all, the other board members that you've presented to before are gonna have to digest, right? So.
They're probably gonna want the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Same presentation. Oh, yeah.
100%.
Happy to do it.
Yeah.
We can do it virtually too. We don't have to wait.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have to have a deeper conversation about how we frame it and how we're going to ascertain the funds to do this.
Mhm.
I think that's gonna have to take some creative thinking. I got a list of things like, I don't know, ESSER grants, ESSER 3 grants, if they're still available. I know the DOE was supposed to maybe do something.
I don't think they are.
Let me get my thought out first, we just tell me no. Yeah, I think we have to make sure we exhaust all options and then figure out how we're gonna frame it and how we're gonna attack it.
Yeah.
I don't foresee $9 million being approved, but I could be.
I mean, we got our last teacher contract was, how much? What was on the warrant article?
I don't remember.
778,000, I thought.
700 and something one year, 900 the next year.
Yeah.
And we got that, the major PR push for that was that in the most expensive year for taxpayers, the bond on the school was ending.
Mhm.
So that there would be a relative wash and their
Yeah.
taxes wouldn't be affected. And it's still
Yeah.
narrowly passed. And we were talking about our teachers at that point.
Yeah.
So this is not, I'm not optimistic about.
I know.
No, it has to be done. Look, I'm not saying we have to do something. It's
Yeah,
just a matter
we
of,
need to-
we have to figure out how we're going to get it accomplished.
Right.
Yeah.
We're gonna have that PR subcommittee.
Yeah, I mean, right, I mean, I would say optics is very important, obviously, in any project, but one thing to keep in mind too, so as part of the town that I live in, their initiative of like being community focused, but being communication focused too, was in the ballot question itself, it said, if your house is valued at $600,000, this will impact your taxes by $300 a year. And I don't know necessarily, I know they worked with the school's lawyer on developing what that was.
Yeah, we do those.
We do that
But-
similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would
Yeah.
have
So,
to come up with that figure.
Yep.
yeah,
We try to pick a median house and
right,
go from there. Yeah.
right.
500,000.
Yep. 5, 6, yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's helpful too, for people to conceptualize
Agreed.
what they're going into and for
Right.
how long.
Yeah.
And 20 million to 140 million is, there's a little bit of a swing. So it wouldn't be $200 a year. But yeah, anyways. We gave you a lot. I think, again, back to timeline, like whenever you want us to come back and present, we would be happy to, but it's probably gonna be kind of soon if we do want to hit that January date.
Okay.
And I also recognize that it's not great timing with the budget today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, timing's everything.
And for both of the
Well, I
projects,
mean,
really, just,
One way to expedite things is we could have the board members who aren't in this room watch this meeting.
Yeah.
That could be the
That would
fastest.
be a
way
good
to get
request.
the information. What's that?
That would be a great request.
It would be.
This is, say, instead of having them come back and having to represent in God knows how long,
Yeah.
watch this meeting.
There will-
Now you know what we know.
Right. There will be additional questions that they'll want answered.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe whether that's via, a Teams call,
Yeah.
something like that.
Could you forward the
Um,
presentation to the other board members? That's a pretty good start, I think.
I
That's a
did not.
Gordon. thing.
No, I
So
said, could
could
you?
you?
Oh, could I? Yes.
That's a Gordon thing, but I'm sure he can.
But that, we also have to, if it's a Teams call, we should be careful about what constitutes a meeting.
A Teams call for what?
Right. Well, right, that would have to be,
I mean-
right, it would
We
be
have
to-
noticed, it would be
Yeah.
noticed.
We'd have to
Oh, yeah,
notice.
yeah. The comment is, instead of waiting 2 weeks, for the next board meeting.
Oh, yes.
Because we need, 5 days for a notice?
Yeah.
5 days for public notice, so,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't, honestly can't meet
is
without.
the
Yeah,
13th
that's,
It's one of those.
next week, is that another board meeting or is that?
Mhm.
Is there a circle or a star on that?
No, it's right
No,
below.
I can't find it.
So I
I
will be-
won't be here.
I won't be here.
Yeah, I
That's
won't be
the
here.
budget palooza one that we all sit and talk.
Oh, I
It's
did.
the round.
I'll be away for the
Speed
next
dating.
2.
I'll be away.
Yeah.
I'll be away.
It's a Teams call.
Yeah.
So, all right,
I feel like the timeline's evaporating in front of us,
yeah,
kind of,
to be frank with you.
yeah,
yeah,
it sounds
but,
like it.
but I think the takeaway and the bright spot here is
Yeah.
that even if tonight, assuming we do a facilities finance committee report out, bring up and say, we would like to move forward with engineering of some factor, like, again, regardless of if you do the entire phase, you do a third of the phase, you do half of the phase
Yeah.
of it, you can still use those drawings. And I hate to say this, but even if you don't want to use Siemens, like you could cut ties, like
At the end of the day.
at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you
That's
could
what
take the
that letter of
drawings.
intent is.
Right, but
Right.
this isn't, we have to go to the next thing,
Yeah.
because we have to
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
your next item.
Yeah.
But for me, this isn't about any of that. For me, this is about, we don't even have yet the data from Dan that says, this is how much this costs.
Sure.
Because if he turns around to us, you said it earlier, I'm gonna repeat it. If he turns around and says, hey, it was 35,000 for let's just say it was, let's say it's 100,000 a year,
Sure.
right, to operate this thing.
Yeah.
And we tell the community, hey, it's 100,000 a year to operate this, or we would like 10 million.
Yeah.
They're gonna go, if this was my house, I'd go with 100, I'd go with 100,000 a year, and we're just gonna keep moving like that, right?
Yeah.
But we don't have that data to go, it's
already
not
in there.
actually.
That 100,000 is already in their budget.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
just want to say that
right?
you're gonna have to spend the 10 million, but the 10 million will be 12.
And then.
You know, you can only spend 100,000 for so long.
Well, this is my
Totally
question.
get it,
Yeah.
This is my.
totally get
Yeah,
that.
that's
But
the
there
real-
are things that will be discussed and will be discussed that will impact the future. That's all I'll say it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dan, how quickly, without putting too much crazy pressure on you, what would be reasonable for you to pull that data and get that to the committee?
I'm gonna see if I can turn it this week and have it to you on Monday.
Okay,
I'll have to,
then you guys.
this is
will
more
have
on
to-
Tina than me, obviously.
Talk about something.
So,
Yeah.
you know, she's the one that handles the bookstore facilities. So, and.
I will be out of the country for the next 2 weeks, leaving Monday. So that will
In
be
case you
these,
didn't
that
know.
will be these two
In case you
guys.
didn't hear it the first 3 times.
The
I did
timeline.
not.
So,
He's very excited.
Here either.
I won't
We're
be here
here to
next week.
work
I'll
hard
be
for
around.
you to meet that deadline. It's
I'll
just
be
we need
here.
to go.
thank you.
You
both.
won't be here next week.
Thank you both. Dan, would you please cover the last item on the list, which is very important, the gym roof?
Jim Roof,
Yes.
we're still waiting on the contract to come back from the attorney,
Yeah,
we got it back from the attorney today.
Okay,
We sent it back to the roofing company to have a finished copy made so we can sign it.
okay,
So contract hasn't been signed yet. I'm hoping it happens tomorrow,
okay.
because if we wait anymore, this roof ain't gonna get done this
Right.
year. So, that's where we're at with that. I can touch a couple more things real quick, just real quick. if you
Like
want me
literally
to.
2 minutes.
Yeah, you got it. Okay.
Thank you for
Um,
coming.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Baking loading dock should be,
Good seeing you.
thanks. The
Thank you.
baking loading dock should be done this week. You're just waiting to install a handrail.
Great.
The walk-ins at Memorial are being installed right now. The boxes are in, the electrical and the refrigerant, should wrap that up by the end of the week. So that will be good. We talked about the roof.
Yeah.
I have a number here for a new truck, an F-150, 63,000. So we need to figure that out in a budget as far as purchasing a new truck, because one of our trucks is becoming very aged and rusting. And I think we're only going to be able to push snow for it for this winter. It takes about 3 or 4 months to get a truck once you order it. So
I think we'll need complete fleet information.
Yeah,
They also are starting the 3 storm drains here at the high school, the ones that have collapsed in. So you may see some work out here in the next week where they're cutting some of the blacktop, pulling manholes out, pouring concrete and resetting manholes. Then the last thing, the RTU at Bakey, the one rooftop we have, has failed. So what's happening is the bearings, I know it, it's in that unit's 38 years old, okay?
Oh.
We need to
So we can push these to 38.
that's what I'm.
There we
so-
go.
So the insulation on there is completely falling off. To re-insulate that unit alone is anywhere from $35,000 to $75,000. The bearings have blown in it, which the arbor that goes through the motors is also seized into the motor. So what we did is we put new bearings on there temporarily to keep it going, hopefully another month until I get bids on this RTU at Bakey. But we're probably going to have to replace that whole unit over at Bakey, because like I said, we're looking at 75,000 in insulation. And if we're talking new motors, new arbor, new ball bearings, all this other stuff, we're probably going to be looking at about $150,000 just to keep that 38-year-old unit going.
How much is a new one?
Versus a new one.
Well, that's what I'm finding out. So
Okay.
we're, but I just want to let you know that this is
Sounds
coming
like
to
that's
that.
We
quite
take these
urgent,
bids over
so
here and
let's-
divide that.
This
down.
is because this
Yeah, I know.
heats the gymnasium and the cafeteria and the music room. So
Do you
it's
have any
not the
wag
whole
at this,
school.
Dan? Do you have any wag at what a new unit costs? $500,000, $1 million?
I would say probably about 400,000 on that school.
400,000.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the whole school, right?
Yeah.
No, that's just the gymnasium, the kitchen and the music room.
You
But
said
it's
there was
but it's the
only,
only.
But there's only
It's the
one
only
rooftop
unit.
unit.
It's only-
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Yeah. There's only one rooftop unit.
okay,
So, but I want to get some hard numbers, obviously, because
Thank you.
every time you ask me,
Yes.
I'm either way
Okay.
off or whatever, but.
okay,
So I'm working on that, but I want to give you heads up that
Okay.
Bakey, we have an issue with the RTU there also.
okay. Thank you for your work on that, Dan.
Thanks,
All right.
Dan.
All right. Any final parting questions, guys?
No, sir.
No?
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Did you want me to answer that question?
Marie, was there anything?
Not my question.
No, okay.
No question.
Not my question.
So for the sake of the public, Rick, I would like to apologize for being short with you, okay? I want you to feel
I'm
good
only
about
kidding.
being part of this committee.
I feel great.
We transitioned for a minute.
Yeah,
into the Finance
I
and
feel
Facilities
fantastic.
Club,
Okay.
and we
It
shouldn't
is-
have.
Public comment. Is there anybody for public comment?
Pam, what's your issue?
Nobody here for public comment. At 5:56, we will adjourn. Thank you all.